Now, I'm joined by a very interesting man here, Mihkel. Where are you from, Mihkel?
I'm from this Tallinn University.
Tallinn University, you're a lecturer here?
I'm Associated Professor of Sustainable Development.
What do you think of what's happening here in your university today?
It's amazing. It's center of the epicenter.
The world, isn't it great?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, what have you got here?
I got
some stuff to show me.
I got you. Let's talk about sex.
Sorry, say that again?
Let's talk about sex.
Michael, my mom is watching back in Ireland.
Yeah, it's you know.
Turn
it's
it off for a minute. Turn it off.
Modern world. Yeah.
So, what do you want to talk about sex? Why is this a big topic for you?
It is because I'm a young man. But if we are talking about the plastic waste,
yes,
we must we must keep in mind that the smaller part of the problem is visible. The bigger part of the problem related with the plastic waste is hidden. Earlier in this show, it was already the scientists colleagues from Tallinn Technical University and Maritime Institute. They talked about the microplastic.
Okay.
This is one part of this.
Yeah.
But we must talk about the chemicals which are leaching out from the plastics. What is surrounding us.
So this is the bigger issue, which you say is invisible.
I think it is a bigger issue what is invisible.
Why is it a bigger issue? What is it doing to us, these chemicals from plastics?
Because it is much harder to deal with this. If you see the garbage on the ground, you can pick it up, you dispose of it, and so on. So, but what you are doing with the chemicals which are surrounding you every day, for example, in your food packages, that it's nice ribeye steak I bought this morning. It's wrapped in the plastic, and we don't show who is the producer and so on, because I know people who have.
But a lot of people do it. A lot of different brands do it.
Yeah, it's wrapped in the plastic, and when it is wrapped in plastic, it's leaking out the chemicals which are acting in your body as pheromones.
Okay, so this is why you said you want to talk about sex, because there's been research done, or there's reason to believe that the microplastics coming from these that are getting into our bodies affect men's fertility.
Absolutely, that's what I'm trying to tell.
Is this a theory or is this fact?
No, it is fact.
It is fact.
I again surfed last night preparing for this interview. I surfed through the scientific papers. There are thousands of papers which are indicating that by different tests that it's not only the males, not the humans, but also the other species which are living in the contaminated world, that there are less male.
Does it have a minuscule effect, or does it have a big impact on your fertility?
It's the studies are showing that men's fertility is dropped 50%.
50%?
50%. It means that spermatozoids, sperm cells in your body are 50% is less than some 15, 20 years ago.
Well, Michael, what I find very hard to understand is if, let's say, okay, the microplastics from this plastic bottle, which are leaking into the water, which we consume, and now the studies are showing that it affects our fertility, why is this not big news all over the world? Why are these not being pulled off the shelf?
It's profitable. Like all the bad things what we are doing for the environment, it is profitable. There is a so big business behind of this. So we can't, and it has gone so far. It has been for so long already. It is very comfortable. Mm-hmm. It is easy life. You are going out, picking up your food, wrapped in plastic, and that's it. You don't need to worry about cleaning up afterwards and so on. It's laziness.
And these are the microplastics, because like you said, obviously if we see plastics, we know we're not consuming that. I'm not going to bite a bit off that plastic bottle and chew it and swallow it. But by drinking the water, there is plastic leaking from the container into it, so it's unavoidable.
Yeah, it's not avoidable. It depends on the type of the plastic. It depends on the chemical compounds of the plastic, but we don't know exactly what the plastic made of. We can only trust it. But if you are thinking about back on 80s, what was the big issue globally? It was the ozone layer depletion, and humans produce chemicals which depleted the ozone layer, and then all the countries agreed we stop using these chemicals. And now the ozone layer depletion has cured.
Cured.
Yeah.
And it's healing itself. So let me just pick up that bottle again, because I'm curious. You know, I drink bottled water all the time. So with this, if I was drinking this all my life, are you saying that this would affect my fertility, maybe up to 50%?
It is quite high probability now that if you are in contact with the plastics, even if you are just touching it, it may leach you into your body the bisphenol alpha, which is acting as estrogen in your body.
So we're handling plastics all the time in our electronics and what we eat and just everywhere. So is that not the scary thing about it, that there's nothing we can do? Like, I could not avoid plastics. I would have to try really hard.
It is possible to avoid. It's not possible to avoid absolutely, totally, but it is possible to avoid to use less and less plastic. For example, I brought you a cup what you can use the rest of your life for the hot drinks. You don't
But this is plastic too.
No, it's metal.
Is this not plastic on top?
The cover is just the plastic, but you
See,
can.
now we're touching the plastic.
You are just touching, but
Metal
inside is metal.
Okay.
Is inside.
Is it having a similar effect on women
Yeah.
and their ability to produce?
Yes, there are the different chemicals, and the studies are showing it's also affecting the females' fertility, but it is less hard on their.
So when will we know the solid science behind this? Because I know you're saying that, well, it is proven in journals, and there's so many of them if you Google it, but they don't know what type of plastic, but they know it is having effects, so they're not sure what plastic to pull. Is it a case that we would know in 100, 200 years when none of us can have children anymore?
It is one possibility, but it's a quite extreme possibility to say so. We could have children, so we have these artificial fertilization possibilities, but you can imagine how expensive this is for the society, and it creates inequality for the societies, because only rich people can afford the artificial fertilization.
So in one line, Michael, what do you want people watching to take home?
Avoid plastic.
Yeah.
Use as less plastic as possible.
I mean, that's pretty shocking. I haven't heard that news before. I can't get over it that your chance of having children as a young man myself who wants to have kids someday, it could be slashed in half just by being in contact with plastics.
This is what the studies are showing. It's new, but these studies has been carried out for decades now. But it appears now there is a solid evidences that plastic contamination around us affects our fertility systems, and this is a feedback system for the society, for the human society, for using the plastics for such a long.
Do you think in a couple of years, like we have on maybe packets of cigarettes at the moment, you know, cigarette smoking causes cancer. A lot of countries, like in Ireland, they have to display those terrible graphic images of what will happen to you. Could it be that when I get a bottle of water to drink, that it will have a big symbol here? If you keep consuming water from this bottle, you may not be able to have children?
I'm not quite fan of such frightening people things. I'm an educator, and I believe that with positive messages we can change the people much easier. That instead of using this plastic bottle, grab your own glass bottle or metal bottle for carrying on with you. If you are going to the gym or running, just carry on these bottles, and you are already using less plastic in your life.
Michael, it was great to talk to you about the birds and the bees at 10 a.m. in the morning.